lot of Elon Musk news lately, and today we're going to go through a lot of it. Today's title is Shocking News on Elon Musk Cybertruck, Robotaxis, Web3, and more. We're going to go through all of it today. Appreciate you joining us. The first thing I want to talk about is this potential tender offer. Yesterday, Elon Musk filed an SEC filing, which further explained what his intentions were when it comes to buying Twitter. Spent a lot of time in the last week or so doing some videos on all the ins and outs of not only Elon Musk buying Twitter, but also that shareholder lawsuit that will soon be on the plate of Elon Musk. If you want to watch those videos, I'll put a link up in the top of the video here, and you can learn more about it. But let's just get straight to the tender offer. This last weekend, Elon Musk did a lot of tweets about a tender offer. He had little cryptic things that said "love me tender" in his tweets, and everybody is trying to kind of figure out what does that mean. Now, a tender offer under corporate law is an offer to the shareholders, oftentimes to buy all the shares of the company. Now, what was interesting to me is I spent a lot of time looking at this Twitter board's poison pill defense to a takeover by Elon Musk. And this tender offer really doesn't impact that. He's still got to get past the poison pill of the Twitter board in order to actually take over Twitter. But the point of it is that what Elon is basically saying is that he is getting the financing together to do that. What I'm going to do is put on the screen some articles today about that particular tender deal that he's after. And let's put it on share. Chrome tab. Here we go. So we can see that, make sure we can see that on the screen today. Yeah, so this article is about Elon Musk exploring whether to commence a tender offer for Twitter. And it says, according to a new securities filing, which was filed yesterday. We're going to spend a few moments kind of going over that filing in a minute. But it says in an updated filing published Thursday, Musk said that given the lack of response from Twitter's board, he is now exploring a tender offer to purchase some or all shares of the company directly from its shareholders. Musk says that he's gotten commitments of $46.5 billion and secured some financing from Morgan Stanley of $25 billion. So he's putting this price tag in the $43 billion range, still wanting to pay $54.20 a share. Like I said before in some of my videos, seems reasonable given that the shares right now are, I think, are 46, 47, depending upon the day or the time. And so what we're learning now, of course, is that Elon Musk is getting serious about buying Twitter. For the longest time, I thought this was a big ploy, some scam, and it may still be. And we'll see that if I switch over. I'll switch over to a different screen to show the actual SEC filing. Let's move it right here. Where is it showing? There it is. So what you're looking at right now is the actual SEC filing, which was filed supposedly yesterday or today. Some people report that it was today. It does say it's dated April 20th, so maybe it was written yesterday. What's interesting is that it's a Schedule 13D. It's an amendment to that. And it's required by the SEC. It's by Elon R. Musk with 73 million shares right there. And then we'll take it to the relevant portions right here. It says the reporting person, Elon Musk, is seeking to negotiate a definitive agreement for the acquisition of Twitter by the reporting person and is prepared to begin such negotiations immediately. So it's an interesting statement. He's already begun the negotiations. He's already sent the Twitter board a letter talking about the fact that he wanted to buy all of Twitter for $54 a share. This is an interesting passage, too. It talks about the poison pill. On April 15th, Twitter adopted a rights agreement and declared a dividend of one right issued pursuant to the rights agreement. So he's aware of this poison pill. And then the interesting part to it is that it says Twitter has not responded to the proposal. That's his words. Now, if you look at the media reports, it says that the Twitter board actually rejected any efforts by Elon Musk to buy Twitter. But in his filing, and again, these are certifications to the SEC, it says Twitter has not responded to the proposal. It says, given the lack of response by Twitter, the reporting person is exploring whether to commence a tender offer, which we had talked about at the top of the program, to acquire all of the outstanding shares of common stock. And then we move into the financing for this potential purchase. To finance the proposed transaction, entities related to the reporting person have received commitment letters committing to provide an aggregate of approximately $46.5 billion. Anything more than that needed will be funded by Elon Musk directly. It says that Morgan Stanley is involved in getting this financing. And then I want to take it down here. This is the part that I want you to be aware of, and that is the reporting person has not commenced or determined to commence any tender offer for shares of Twitter. The reporting person may directly or indirectly take such additional steps as may deem appropriate to further proposal or the potential offer. So it's all but clear, or it's not clear, that Elon Musk actually will take over on the tender offer, or he will actually commence the tender offer. Probably it's looking like he's doing everything within his power to do that. So we will see, but it's far from certain. I want to take a moment to say hi to some people. Demba's here. Hello, Demba. We got Farik. Yo, my man, looking good. Well, thank you so much, man. And we also got, I can't pronounce that. I'll just say Queen 6. Hello. C-Bill's here. And Coconut Pete. Elon should give me $1 billion, and I built him a more interesting website, and he could save over $40 billion. Well, Coconut Pete, I know how good you are with programming online, so I believe that's a good point. Kevin Hawthorne is also here. Good evening from Lakeland, Florida. Thank you so much. If you guys have more comments, just make sure you put it in the chat here. If you have any questions about what you think about Elon Musk and the Twitter takeover, if you have questions about what the heck the poison pill is, what a tender offer is, let's talk about it in today's broadcast. So anyway, so that's what's going on right there. And then I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the fact is whether or not Elon Musk actually would be good as an owner of Twitter. And so I'm going to put on an article on the screen in a few minutes. Once it gets going here, let's see, share screen. And I said few minutes, a few seconds. We're looking at this one. Let's look at this article for a moment and just make sure you can see it there. Yes. So this article is about, why Elon Musk would be bad for Twitter. I've had a lot of comments. A lot of people are split. They think that Elon Musk would be great, a victory for free speech. And I've had some comments saying that Elon Musk would be horrible for Twitter. Let's go over some of the reasons that Forbes has brought up why Elon Musk would be bad for Twitter. And I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think about this. It says Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet with personal wealth estimated at $273 billion. I thought it was $219 billion. I tell you, I can't keep track. I mean, it's almost going up to $300 billion. Musk believes this: Twitter is not achieving its societal imperative. Given that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy. So he's really believing that Twitter itself is almost like a town square where everyone is entitled to freely express themselves, say whatever they want to say, subject to a couple exceptions that are in the U.S. Constitution, and allow people to do whatever they want on Twitter. So that's kind of what he's doing. He's viewing himself as a savior for free speech, and that's one of the reasons why it's appearing that he's super serious about buying Twitter. Now, Forbes is a little bit pessimistic. They say some of Musk's animus appears to be tied to past negative views of coverage of Tesla, and that very well may be. There is a lot of precedent for rich people, billionaires, buying media outlets in order to frame stories about their companies, about what they do in a favorable way. So this, again, I've talked about it in my videos. This could be another example of Elon saying, listen, I got to buy this major media outlet. That way, stories about SpaceX and Tesla and the Boring Company are all favorable. I can control them because I own and I've taken Twitter private. Could very well be. You never know. Now, here's where it gets a little bit interesting. We looked at the SEC filing that Elon filed either yesterday or today, and it said there that the Twitter's board of directors has failed to negotiate at all with Elon Musk. Here in this article, it says Twitter's board of directors has unanimously rejected his offer and vowed to fight the takeover bid. Haven't seen a lot of press coverage of this. Let me know if you've seen it. Put something in the comments so I can know, so I can see that. And then we got a couple people visiting here. We got Jables Creed. I love your show. Probably love your show. And hey, so does making poison pills cost Twitter money? If it would cost them money, why doesn't he keep exceeding 15% if it would bankrupt them eventually? Well, I think the answer to the question is not directly. I mean, adopting this poison pill strategy, declaring this dividend to be technical, does not cost money other than, the time it took to draft the proposal, pay the attorneys, and actually promulgate it and send it to the SEC. But there is the thought that if a new preferred class of stock is created and then offered to the Twitter shareholders, probably about 10 shares for $210, then that could dilute the common shares of Twitter and really, adversely affect the shareholders. There's that thought. It may not be true. It's just the thought that if you add more shares, there's dilution that inevitably could occur. I will say this, that not only is Elon Musk the richest person in the world, but he's probably one of the most famous people in the world. And if they did adopt, if Elon was to not approach the board and to continue to negotiate directly with the shareholders, so the poison pill strategy was implemented, then it could very well be that it would cost money, or that it wouldn't cost money, and that the shares would not be diluted. So I don't know that it makes sense to bankrupt the company to take it over or to reduce the share price. Elon Musk wants the shares high. Frankly, he's taken a major risk getting the financing that we talked about in the SEC filing to be able to pay for this Twitter purchase. And he wants to recover his money, and he wants to make it even go higher. So it really is not in the interest of Elon Musk to have the poison pill strategy come to par. Now, I don't know exactly how this is going to work out. Frankly, my thought is that I think that Elon is eventually going to have to negotiate with the board. I don't know exactly what are the pressure points that he's going to be able to enact, but he does not want to pay more money than $43 billion or some amount thereabout for Twitter. It would be kind of foolish to keep raising the ante. And if the poison pill strategy goes into effect, he might have to do that. So he says that the board has refused to negotiate, but if you actually look to his initial offer letter to Brett Taylor way back when, he says, "This is my best and final offer, 54.20." Well, that's not an invitation to negotiate. I mean, what that is that's a demand. I'm not going to negotiate. I'm just going to I want to pay this, and you better accept it. So I think that probably Elon has got to go to the Twitter board at some point in time and approach him and say, "Listen, let's just work this out. I got the means, I got the financing. The SEC knows about it. I've been filing these 13D amendments religiously and timely. Let's work this out because I want to take control and I want to take this company private." I don't think there's a way to get around that. We got advocate Mahmoud Azim. Hello, I'm an advocate from Pakistan. Your videos on such topics, especially about YouTube, are extremely informative. Great job. Well, thank you so much, advocate Azim. It means a lot to me. I'd love to hear more about what you think about this particular Elon strategy of the tender offer. That would be information that I'd want to hear. We got Queen 6. It's odd how he's moving so fast on this. Absolutely. Great comment. I feel like it's another plan in place, a start to really introduce an advanced technology. Well, I don't know about the advanced technology. I will say that we're going to get to some of the other news, the shocking news, talking about X Holdings Company, the Cybertruck release, comments on Netflix, all those kinds of things. But I will say this, it is odd how fast he's moving on this. I said this in my video about the initial offer of Elon Musk to buy Twitter. And I said, what in the heck is going on? I mean, it's one thing to buy a large portion of a public company and then to seek a board position and gradually make your way up on the board, maybe become the chairman of the board, maybe buy more stock. But this is a year, 2, 3, 5 year long process. And you're right. Elon Musk has got this on his plate and he's not going to let it go. So you're right. That makes me, I will say he moves fast, but he's also a thoughtful person. So I think you're really right to surmise, maybe there's something more at play than this. The other thing to remember too is that, Twitter is not if you're going to buy a public company and you're going to issue a tender offer and buy 100% of a company and then take it private, I don't know that Twitter is your place to go. I mean, listen, the big numbers of profit for you and I, but in the scheme of companies out there, Twitter's only pulling down $600 million in profit a year. And that's a lot of money, but it's also a very expensive corporation, many, many, many billions of dollars. So, to be so obsessed in the sense that Elon is, to be able to get this company does kind of like send off red flags in my head. So I think Queen 6 is absolutely right on that. Callie Maid says Elon will soon hold the keys to the kingdom. What kingdom do you mean? Twitter is certainly a big part of the kingdom, but it is true if you kind of put it all out on a table there, SpaceX and going to Mars, maybe that's the keys to the kingdom. Obviously controlling electric cars, maybe all cars. We'll talk about Robotaxis in a few. Boring, in other words, controlling all the tunnels on Earth, batteries, mastering electricity across the planet, and then Twitter mastering and taking over free speech throughout the planet, because Twitter is mostly global now. So I see what you're saying. Let's see. Sam Gold says, watch the documentary on the Elon fraud. Let us know, Sam, what is the name of that documentary? Because I'd love to see that. You don't negotiate with the beast, says Callie Maid. I think what he's referring to is the Twitter board, but I got to tell you, man, I don't know how he gets around the poison pill. Tell me how in the world he's not going to pay a premium going through the poison pill process, because he's definitely, pursuant to the SEC filing that we just looked at, he's looking to buy all of Twitter. That's way more than 15%, which is the trigger for the poison pill. Callie Maid says Elon is the Antichrist. Okay, well, that's an opinion. Freedom of speech. I like it, And we got Solo here. Hey, Ian and everyone, good to see you. All right, well, let's get back to this article because I really want to make sure that we look at it here. Let's put it right here so you can see it a little bit better. So, because we never explained why, we were looking at this article to say why Elon Musk would be bad for Twitter. So we talked about kind of the reasons, what Elon believes Twitter's like, how the Twitter board unanimously rejected his offer. I don't know if that's true. Now, the Forbes article comes up with 3 ways or reasons why Elon Musk owning Twitter would be bad. The first one is he does not acknowledge that rules pertaining to free speech in the United States are intended to constrain the actions of governments, not companies or private actors. Now, this is absolutely true. That was how the First Amendment was drafted. The problem occurs, and they're not really being super accurate or broad on this, is the problem is when society changes and when there are constraints by the government put on society so that there aren't many outlets for us to exhibit our free speech. Looking back at the time when we were shut down and not able to go outside, the government made those requirements. The only way to freely express ourselves during that time was online. And I will tell you that you could express yourself on Facebook or some of the other social media platforms, but really Twitter is kind of become the de facto town square and a place to be heard, to be seen, and to make your opinions known. So there is a debate out there that based upon government restraints, the government can push you so far as a society such that there aren't many outlets. And so as a result, the outlets that exist should have some fairness, have some freedom to them. So yes, technically, under the First Amendment words, it would not apply to Twitter because, frankly, it's so funny. I was listening to a podcast the other day. Censorship, if Twitter is deplatforming people and saying you can't say certain things, actually censorship is free speech, right? It's Twitter saying we don't approve of this. We're a private company, not constrained technically by the First Amendment. And so we are choosing to censor. And by that, we're sending a message. We do not like President Trump tweeting on our platform. We're sending a message. We don't like that. All right, what's to stop? There's no constitutional amendment that stops that. So there is, certainly some argument to this, but the problem is that society has changed. And frankly, we can't always just limit the application of freedom principles to only governmental entities. Otherwise, that would be a situation where we would allow private sector companies to discriminate against people for bad reasons. So no, we don't. We actually regulate private sector companies and don't let them discriminate for bad reasons. The second reason here is that Forbes says that Elon Musk is bad for Twitter is that if freedom of speech, total absolutist freedom of speech were on Twitter, Twitter will quickly be overwhelmed by spam, pornography, hate speech, and violent incitement, misinformation, and conspiracy theories, which would drive away both users and advertisers. So this is kind of a policy difference. I don't dispute, especially because YouTube right now especially has so much spam. It's really, really getting difficult. I don't dispute the fact that there certainly, if there were less restraints on people on Twitter, that there would probably be some bad stuff that would happen. There were bad speech that would happen. But some of us would say that's okay because you can fight bad speech with good speech. And there certainly could be limits that you could allow private sectors companies to have, like to ban pornography, to not allow violent incitement of imminent physical harm. So we could definitely do that, but some people would say that's okay. And so we should not allow companies to regulate speech such that it eliminates bad things. And then other people would say, listen, that's horrible. And this is what the Forbes article is saying, is that spam, pornography, hate speech, violent incitement, misinformation is horrible. And we should allow Twitter to take it off the platform. The only problem with this is that it does put Twitter in the position of having to be the judge. And if we could make some law that says that there's a panel of diverse people that are making decisions on content, kind of like Facebook tried to do. But it really does put Twitter in the position of doing whatever they want and stifling whoever they want. And that's, I think, led to some of the reason why Elon Musk wants to take over Twitter. And then the final reason that Forbes says that Elon Musk is bad for Twitter is that it just gives extraordinary power to Elon Musk. And then some people would argue that's bad because Elon could make sure that all Tesla articles on Twitter were positive, or no criticisms could occur as to SpaceX. And so that's that. But the other part is that it's also the private sector, and people have a right, if they have the money, to be able to buy, if it's available, anything that they want. And so if we were to say you can't have Twitter because we're worried that you'd have too much power, where did that end? I mean, you can't buy Coca-Cola because it sells drinks that are bad for you. So there's kind of arguments on both sides. I'd love to hear from you what you think about this thing. Would Elon Musk owning Twitter, would that be bad for Twitter? So let me know in there. Let me see if there's anybody else that might be. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Andrew Hager, Caitlin. Okay. Well, it says, Ian, of course, what about people who use Twitter to lure minors into inappropriate conversations and the like? Somebody's got to make sure the people like these are permanently banned from Twitter. Well, what about that being law enforcement's job? I mean, I'm just suggesting it could be. It could be some people on one side would say, listen, that's law enforcement's job. They got to stop people. They got to get more online and stop bad people from doing these bad things. Why put Twitter in the position of being the policeman in this case? They are a private sector company. So that's the kind of the counter argument to that. So anyway, if you guys have more comments on why Elon Musk taking over Twitter would be bad, let me know in these comments because I want to address them. But in the meantime, I also want to talk about some of the other news stories that came out today with Elon Musk. And the first one has to do with, Elon buying or creating an X Holdings company. Let me put that on the screen here. Yeah. So we'll put this little article here, make sure you can see it. So what this article basically says is that what Elon is kind of doing, and this kind of feeds into maybe what Queen 6 was saying, taking over the world here. Elon is probably forming an X-Holdings corporation or multiple corporations to be able to hold the assets, not only of Twitter, but as other companies. And I guess the suspicion of this is that, when you have a person that evidently has $273 billion worth of assets, where do you draw the line? Because this person may be able, through leveraged buyouts and through equity financing, to buy almost everything of value. So we just got a recent word from the Securities and Exchange Commission that Elon is forming these X-Holdings companies to be able to hold his businesses. And there's quite a bit. This is looking like he has Tesla and he has SpaceX and the Boring Company and Neuralink, which are private sector companies. And so this is, I think, really what the emotional attachment to this article is whether or not it's okay to have this person have so much money and they be able to buy so many different companies or own so many different companies that control globally what we do, how we get energy, how we commute, how we talk. The only thing left on the list, I think, is like an Amazon competitor. Maybe he tries to buy Amazon or a grocery store that we all frequent. So that's an interesting article too about this X company thing. And then I want to move on to talk about the Cybertruck, because we got some interesting news about the Cybertruck today too. And I'll put that on the screen right here. Gosh, I tell you, it's so hard to see these things sometimes. Let's see. All right. Make sure we see that. So this article, I'm gonna get this off the screen. Oh man, it's so hard to get these on the screen without ads all the time. This article is about Elon Musk offers long-awaited update on production of Tesla's Cybertruck. He announced today that the long-delayed Cybertruck will finally enter production next year. He did not say for sure this was happening, but he really wants this Cybertruck out. I think he senses competition from Ford with the Lightning truck coming out, I think at the end of this year, if not the beginning of next year. And, they did this whole party to announce, that this Cybertruck would go into production in 2023. And I wanted to show you some of the pictures that I saw from this, because I think it's pretty cool. And this happened last week, but the reporting just happened just recently here. And let's see, put it on here. Sure. So let's make sure you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. So this is from The Verge, and this is some of the photos from the party, the Cyber Rodeo that Elon Musk had last week, showing off some of the things like the proposed Tesla robot there. I don't know if you see it on the right-hand side. There's an art installation using Tesla coils, and there was dance music, and they actually had a neon sign saying Cyber Rodeo. And then they also displayed the Cybertruck right there, which actually looks better. They removed the door handles, so I don't know exactly how it's going to work. Evidently, people who are in the know say that as you approach the Cybertruck, the doors will automatically open. Hopefully, you have to have the key in order for that to take place. And then I'll take you down to some pictures here. There was big lines to attend the event, and they actually showed off the Tesla Cyber Quad for the kids, which I would love to play with myself and ride with myself. They also just, had an awesome show, and they showed some of the engines, the electrical engines they use. So, and then of course they showed the production line. They actually had a bull that was, one of those mechanical bulls. They showed some of the robots that build the cars. And bottom line is they really are, Elon Musk was saying that we're going to really get the Cybertruck going. I don't know. Let me know if you think that the Cybertruck will actually come into production next year and people will be able to buy it. I doubt it. It just looks too complicated looking at this right here for that to happen. I know Elon really wants it, and he, like we talked about before with Queen, Elon definitely moves fast. But it seems to me that there's going to be a lot of delays involved in that. So I don't know. I really don't. Looking at some of the comments here. Let's see. So Andrew says, what exactly are X Holdings? Those are corporations that Elon formed the last couple of days so that they can hold the other companies like Tesla, like Twitter. And why you do that is that way you have a kind of more diverse way of merging your companies. If Elon buys Twitter, he doesn't want to just like take over the existing corporate structure. He wants to merge it and make it his own. And you can do that by having a holding company and then merging another company with Twitter. And so that's what he does. It's a good way to be able to, again, further insulate yourself from liability, from lawsuits and things, so that, a lawsuit against Twitter wouldn't necessarily affect Tesla or the Boring Company or one of his other projects. Yeah. All right. It'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see too, ICAST. So let's see. Also, let's look at some of the things that came out too. We had some interesting stuff. Let's see. Comments here on the Netflix absolute nosedive in stock price. And Elon had something to say about that too. Let's see, where are we at? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I don't know if you saw this article. Let's check this out here. Yeah. But Elon Musk says Netflix is losing subscribers because the woke mind virus is making it unwatchable. And I think that's one of his tweets that he said that. And of course, we learned yesterday, Netflix shares were on course for the worst day in nearly a decade. The stock fell 32% to a low of $226. And the thought was saying that Netflix is really, their business model has not been good. They've not been encouraging their subscribers. The programming has not kept people glued to the screens. And then, of course, they really have cracked down on people that are watching Netflix for free. That used to be something they were kind of, loose on. So as a result, they lost, I think, close to 2 million the first quarter, and going to be losing another 2 million coming up too. So, here's the actual tweet, right? Or no, this is another tweet that he sent out. Can they please just make sci-fi fantasy at least mostly about sci-fi fantasy? And it's just funny. It's kind of true. A lot of the Netflix programming sometimes doesn't just do what they say they're going to do. It makes it much more dramatic, much more controversial. And so I don't know that his comments had an effect on the stock, maybe, but his opinions are known. Here it says here, come on, man, that's crazy. Do we want a humorless society that is simply rife with condemnation and hate, basically? At its heart, wokeness is divisive, exclusionary, and hateful. It basically gives mean people a shield to be mean and cruel, armored in false virtue. Quite big words there from his statement there. So he's already taken a position on Netflix. And you know what? You wonder if Elon is into Twitter and wants to take over Twitter and eventually does take over Twitter, will he take over a large streaming service too? I mean, will this end? I mean, the guy's young. He certainly has a lot of energy and wants a lot of things on his plate. I couldn't imagine running Tesla and SpaceX and the Boring Company and then wanting to take over Twitter. To me, that sounds like, oh my God, that's just too much. But he evidently wants to do it. And frankly, you know what? You wonder if he's driving the prices down for Netflix so that he can buy it someday and then control the video in our lives too. So it's thank you, Queen Six. I appreciate that. She's talking about the fact that I do like that old school sci-fi Alien versus Predator. Yeah, I think that's true. All right, so that's what his comments were on Netflix. Let's talk about what Tesla is going to do with their Robotaxis. Make sure I got a picture of that here. All right, put that on screen. Okay, so we talked about Elon having more to say about the Cybertruck, and he just recently talked about details about the Robotaxi electric car. So now what he's going to be doing is not only doing passenger cars that we drive or that drive themselves, but also trucks, but also a Robotaxi car. And he released some information about what this Robotaxi will be like. I don't think that this graphic is representative of it. But it says here, We are also working on a new vehicle that I alluded to in the Giga Texas opening, which we talked about, which is a dedicated Robotaxi. It's going to be highly optimized for autonomy, meaning that it will not have a steering wheel or pedals. There are a number of other innovations around it that I think are quite exciting, but it is fundamentally optimized to achieve the lowest fully considered cost per mile or kilometer when counting everything. So this is another example of Elon taking on another part of our life, and that's getting around, especially without a driver. And it may be that if he's moving quickly on his cars, obviously his passenger cars and his truck, that he will be able to get a robo-taxi going that we could actually use. I mean, it's not a leap in logic to think that with what he has in Tesla, that he couldn't get this stuff going pretty quickly. The cars that he has, as far as I've seen, are pretty good at driving themselves. There's certainly errors and things, but it could very well be that in the next few years, he's saying in 2024, we could have robo-taxis. What do you think about that? Would you even own a car if you could have a robo-taxi take you wherever you want for a reasonable fee? I got to tell you, I would think twice. And the other thing is, I have 2 cars right now because we need them, but what if even if you didn't do 2 cars, what if you did just 1 car? And then we're able to use a robo-taxi to get around from there. So that could very well be there. I have some comments going. Oh, speaking of Robo, my iPhone just started talking. Yeah, Andrew has something to talk about. Netflix must probably got miffed over how Netflix animation department lost their best leader too. Yeah, probably. Yeah, iCast says the concept taxi looks interesting. Yeah, I think it does too. I can put that back on the screen. Let's see, is it back here? Oh man, I lost it, I guess. Let's see there. Yeah, it does look interesting. And I think especially for city centers, and then if they had boring tunnels, this could be really, really useful. I have no need to drive my own car. Frankly, I get more work done when I'm riding in a car. So I think that I would definitely use this service depending upon how affordable it was. You'd think that they could get the affordability down. I don't know if it would be like a bus type cyber taxi or if it would be individual or both. But I definitely like the idea, and it would be great if this could happen in 2024. I'm sure it would take a long time to roll out, but I would definitely consider not having 2 cars, especially gas guzzling cars, if cyber taxi was a real thing, and you could just call them and they could come to your house and they could take you to wherever you needed to go. So I'm excited about that for sure. iCast, I love iCast here. I'm surprised he's not announced teleportation already. Absolutely. You never know if that's going to happen. Queen 6 says pod bikes, the way to my heart. I love that. And then, she also says that would be the end of all vehicles. Yeah. Modern day tech. Beam me up, Scott. Hey, modern day. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I know. That'd be awesome. Paul's here. It looks like a community car. Yeah, I know. It does look like a community car for sure. But I also got to tell you that it could be individual. It could be both. There could be community cars, like almost like a bus, and there could also be individual cars. So, and this could be as soon as 2024. So I'm excited about it. For us Star Trek fans, I love it. I don't have the power. That's so funny. Crazy Tech, thanks for joining us. Hey, what's up? And Paul also says, I can't wait to have a driverless vehicle. I know, it'd be really, really beneficial. It'd be awesome. All right, so now we've talked about, we've talked about the tender offer, the potential tender offer that's coming probably next week. We've talked about ex-holding companies. We've talked about the Cybertruck and the fact that they want to get it out to the public by 2023. We talked about Elon's comments on Netflix and the fact that Netflix has made itself unwatchable. We talked about robo-taxis. Now we have to talk about Twitter spam bots. Let's put that on screen. Screen share. Oopsies. Let's do it. All right. So there are a couple tweets that came out about Twitter. You know, it looks like...
Listen, if you truly want to gain skills that'll put you in...
Tony Robbins strikes again. when you're thinking about buying something, sometimes you dream about what it would be like to have it. Let's say if I want to buy a Cybertruck, I'm going to dream about what it would be like to drive my Cybertruck around and have people either laugh at me or say that's cool. But Elon is evidently dreaming about what it would be like to own Twitter. And he tweeted today, if our Twitter bid succeeds, we will defeat the spam bots or die trying, and authenticate all real humans. So that's one thing that we haven't talked about, and certainly I've talked about in my videos about the authentication. Elon wants Twitter to be a platform in which it's not anonymous, in which it's Ian Corzine. I mean, frankly, I don't mind because my Twitter handle is @Ian Corzine, but he wants that for everybody, not just have anonymous comments and faceless hate come out on Twitter, but actually, you have your real name, or at least there's an ability for people to find out who you actually are. And what that brought to mind, my, I'm not going to say obsession, but my interest in Web3. I'm extremely excited about all the Web3 possibilities that are out there. You've seen some of my videos about it. And I was thinking that if he was trying to authenticate all humans, so to speak, that he might use the blockchain to do it. I mean, think about it. We could use digital wallets to connect to Twitter or some version of it and really be able to identify where things are coming. And, to the point of one of the people, I think it was Andrew, talked about what would you do if, you had some bad person on Twitter trying to lure kids. If we had a not anonymous Twitter, then we could find these people, right? And maybe they were less apt to make these comments if they knew that law enforcement, Twitter, whatever the name of the company was at one point in time, could find them. So maybe having the ability to authenticate all users of Twitter would actually push down a lot of the hate, a lot of the horribleness that comes out in the public discourse, because everyone knows it's you, or certainly could find out it's you. One way to validate that would be using blockchain technology and have people authenticated through their digital wallets. You wouldn't have to have money to participate in Twitter. Elon has been that clear. He wants it to be a free platform, but you could hook up your wallet and they could be traced, so that if you're a bad person, you would probably not use Twitter because you would not want to be found out. So I was thinking that might be a good application. Elon Musk has been pretty negative about Web3 and the metaverse. He's kind of made fun of it. He's definitely dabbled in cryptocurrency. You've seen him make lots of statements about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and he's a big champion of Dogecoin. And I don't know if that's facetious or if that's real, but he is. He one time talked about people being able to use Dogecoin to buy a Tesla. But he's also been very leery of Web3 because he sees the problem that a lot of people see, and that is this thought that there will still be decentralization even if we move a lot of online activities to the blockchain. In other words, there's still OpenSea that sells NFTs, and they're the largest seller of them. Coinbase just recently announced that they're doing an NFT platform and actually released their beta today or yesterday. So there is competition. But people are thinking, listen, Web3 is just a marketing word. It's the same thing. Yeah, we're using blockchain as opposed to the old protocols of Web 1 and Web 2. But I will say, having spent a lot of time with it, it is actually different. And the centralization will still be there, but it won't be as to digital assets. It will be as to the protocol. So one of the things that would be exciting for me is if Elon was able to buy Twitter and he wanted to authenticate people, he could use the blockchain for it. And I think that might be one way to cut down on the hate. I don't know. Let me know in the comments there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Spam bots. Andrew talks about spam bots. I can't stand them either. It's really difficult, especially when I do Web3 content, cryptocurrency, videos about legal issues and things. Is that I get these cryptocurrency people that come out, spots that come out, and they don't just post some statement about how this guy is great with cryptocurrency, you should invest here. They post 34 comments. They have one comment and then they have these sub comments. It's ridiculous. And it really kind of screws up the videos because there's reporting more comments than there should be. I do my best to report them and get them thrown off the platform, but they're absolutely overwhelming right now. And frankly, one of the things I really wish YouTube would get their act in order was to be able to get more of this spamming off the platform. That's something that they uniquely are in position to do. So yeah, and Elon believes the same thing. he's of the belief that Twitter should not have spam bots, and he's going to do it or die trying, as he said in his tweet. Ads are annoying. It's like daytime TV is everywhere. Yeah, I know. It's true. And, Netflix talked about the fact that they're going to probably do a lower tier for their streaming platform, which includes ads. And boy, oh boy, that's going to kill them. There's no way. I mean, I can't deal with ads, especially these days, and especially the young people too. I mean, certainly the Gen Zers just grew up without ads. I mean, they certainly saw YouTube ads that they would click right through, but no one's going to tolerate that. So, oh, cool. Crazy Tech saw a TED Talk in the factory. That's amazing. Awesome. Yeah, Crazy Tech. My real name is on Twitter too. So is mine, and so is Paul's. Paul's real name is on Twitter too. But Paul makes a good point. He says the Federalist Papers were written by anonymous authors. There's a place for anonymity, no question about it. I think that place is Reddit. I think Reddit is a really great platform to see what people really think, because that no one has their legit name on there. I actually have an account under Ian Corzine, but I did that for a different reason. But I'm not saying that there should not be places where you can have anonymous speech. I actually think it's awesome because, again, people can feel free to just freely express themselves. And if you don't like it, you don't use it. But Twitter, maybe that's the one where it should be. Maybe that you can't have anonymous accounts on Twitter. And if you don't like that, you move on to a different platform. So, and especially verification, it's much easier to do it on blockchain than our existing protocols. So Patricia Lynn, so is he going to make all the entertainers use their real names too? It's all BS. Patricia Lynn, it's all BS. I don't know. I don't know. The other part too is that you said you don't have to use Twitter. I mean, I don't know if he's going to make everything. You have to be verified, but he's saying he is. And, the thought is that if you have a problem, you could not use it. So, I mean, frankly, I talked about this recently. I don't know if it was in a video or not, but, Twitter is problematic anyway. I mean, really, let's be real about Twitter. I mean, how much of us are using Twitter and firing off tweets and they're actually getting likes and views? I mean, some of us are or whatever, but it's really about journalists, about famous people. Those are the people that are getting the engagement and the attention. We're just kind of following along and laughing. And also, it's kind of like late night television. We never watch that anymore. We just watch the clips. So we kind of just watch the embeds of Twitter in the news articles. What did Elon say last night at midnight? We don't follow Elon's account, but we look at the news article, which has the embed of what Elon said. So, sometimes I think we get too emotional with Twitter. I mean, really, if it were to go away tomorrow, who really cares? There's going to be another platform that pops up. Maybe it's Instagram or Facebook or some, Truth Social. No, it's not Truth Social. That comes up where people actually express themselves. So, who cares? And you can block them too. Yeah, that's what Crazy Jack says too. Touche. Reddit is a good point. See, my ego has to be addressed there. Thank you so much. Let's see. Crazy Tech says, I did a 36-second animation of you talking about Elon. I have not uploaded yet. Would you object? I can also email it to you. Well, I'd like to see it, but I can't object. I believe in free speech, so you can freely parody me if you'd like. Solo, Netflix cracking down on password sharing is low. They already earn enough. How much more greedy can you get? Well, you know what? I agree with that. But I also want to say that as a business practice, that may not be the smartest thing right now. I mean, your shares have consistently been trading for lower amounts. You've consistently been raising your prices. I think maybe 3 weeks ago or so, they raised their price for their premium level of subscription again, and they keep losing subscribers, which I'm sure is part of it. So you think that even if you were going to crack down, first of all, if you're going to crack down, maybe you wouldn't do a public release about it. Maybe you would take a section of the country or the world at a time. And maybe you would just rely on your rules, which is obvious that you're not supposed to be able to, watch Netflix for free, but maybe not make a big deal about it, because now people are like, F you, I'm not watching Netflix, blah, 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 blah. So see you later, Paul. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Let's see here. And then Andrew says Instagram's getting problematic too, especially with all the hackers lying around like Sophia Amanda, if that's her real name. Exactly. No, we're seeing a lot of it. We're seeing attacks of these bots are getting super sophisticated. And it's really difficult, especially on YouTube. It's just kill. ICAST says it is really bad time to do a price increase. Really bad time. I mean, think about the timing that Netflix announced this. I mean, it's you really gotta really get some new programming. I was thinking about what HBO Max is doing by having early release of movies. It's probably easier for them, maybe, but Netflix has so much power in the streaming world that you would think that they would be vying for these movies, these movies that are going to be released in theaters or maybe jointly in theaters and streaming. Why wouldn't you do something, partner with Paramount or some large movie studio and do a thing like, you can see the movie in the theater for $15 or $20, but you have to pay $30 if you want to stream it. Just some sort of deal, make a big splash so there's a reason to watch this streaming platform. HBO Max, I don't watch a lot of their native programming, but there is a reason for me to subscribe to that because there's these big openings of movies that I want to see. Wonder Woman and Spider-Man. I think Batman now is on HBO Max. So why don't you take what other platforms are doing, Netflix, and still be that leader? And like you said, who was saying it? Was it Solo? Andrew Solo was saying you're already making enough money. So like you said, bad timing. Crazy Dick says thanks. Okay, so iCast says, I am sure they are now realizing what companies such as Blockbuster felt when they were making them obsolete. Yeah, it could very well be. Netflix could be TiVo, really brilliant idea, right? I mean, no one doubts that Netflix was so smart. They called themselves Netflix even when they were just mailing CDs back to us. And then they eventually took over the streaming world. There wasn't a person that I knew that didn't have a Netflix subscription. I mean, I don't remember the prices, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like something like $5.99 for a period. And then it went to $8.99. And it's one of those no-brainers at the time. You're like, dude, I could watch reruns of The Office. I could watch the new shows, the Ozarks, all the shows that are good. And it's not that much money. It's not that much to rationalize. But now it's getting kind of ridiculous. There's getting so much competition, Disney and HBO Max and Showtime and all these other platforms that are coming in, Hulu even, that it could have a major problem. Yeah, Queen, I'm with you. I watch TV like a couple hours a month. I know I'm a YouTuber, born and raised. I mean, I watch YouTube mostly. I just like specific content. Like I love Casey Stern of Vegetable Police. He's my favorite. I watch him all the time and his Camera Conspiracies channel. So I just love actual YouTube content. You'll find me when I'm having off time, not scrolling through Twitter. I'm watching YouTube. I absolutely love YouTube. Yes. I am a nerd, Ian. I love to learn. I research and research again. Well, guess what? You and I, Queen, we can cooperate. I am a nerd too. I'm a nerd lawyer. Recently, I just announced it to my wife. I was doing some research on the poison pill and corporate law for the Twitter videos, and I talked to her and I said, just so you know, I realized that I am a big law nerd. I'm a nerd, and she was like, "Yeah, I've known that since I met you." So I like to research too. I get it. And I love to write scripts and make videos. It's my favorite thing. But you have a law practice. How do you find the time? Well, the reason why I find the time is that I have a cool office with all my video equipment up here. And also I spend a majority of my time advising creators. So I'm kind of like a baseball coach. It's like I love baseball. So maybe I play a lot of baseball and now I coach it. So it's kind of the similar thing as I spend my time, I'll come up with a great idea for a video. I'll make the video and then I'll do my consult with someone. I'll advise someone. I'll meet someone with Zoom and we'll talk about a brand deal or we'll talk about this new NFT collection that they're doing. And I got to go through this copyright issues. And then I'll do that. And then I'll, come up with another idea. Before this broadcast, I was drafting a script for a YouTube short I want to do. I'm trying to figure out exactly where I fit on YouTube shorts because I would love to do more YouTube shorts. I love to read about how to publicly speak and do jokes and things like that. So yeah, I just kind of fit it in amongst the day. And luckily I've been very lucky. I've gotten some good deals from people as far as I do live streaming. People pay me to do live streaming. So that's great. So yeah, I have the perfect life. I love my life. Nice. I'm white and nerdy. Well, you and I are both white and nerdy. It's good. Oh, that's why I like you. Well, thank you. All right. That's funny. I wanted to bring this one. There's also major hit cartoons on HBO Max like Young Justice, Infinity Train. Yes. My stepson is a big fan of those cartoons too. Oh, really? That's so funny. My cousin has an accounting company 15 minutes from your office. Well, that's funny. Yeah, I'm in Scottsdale now. Yeah, and I do broadcast from Scottsdale and Ventura. I kind of go back and forth from those places. I'll be, for the next live, I'll be in Ventura. So you can see me there. Yes, yes. I am super grateful. I have an amazing life. I get to do what I love to do, and I'm so, so grateful. I literally wake up every day, and I'm so grateful for what I have. I have the best wife in the absolute world, best kids in the world, and I get to do what I want to do. So I'm very grateful, and I'm so grateful for you guys spending time with me. It makes my day. Thank you so much. So yeah, let me just make sure. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm super happy with what I do. And I guess what I wanted to remind you guys is that I am a lawyer. I focus on social media and Web3 tech issues. And I advise now mostly Web3 creators on how to, properly create their projects, whether they be corporations or DAOs or NFT projects. If you guys ever have a need, if you have a friend who needs this kind of stuff, where you're getting you need legal advice for your content creations, let me know, because I would be happy to help. The best way to contact me is at my website, iancorzine.com. You could also tag me on Twitter at Ian Corzine. And then the other thing you can do is join my email list. What I do, and this is part of what I do free of charge, is I come up with a weekly email that I send every Wednesday, and it has not only kind of a recap of my videos and the live streams for the week, but also it has 5 opportunities in the Web3 world, tech world, for you as creators that you can click on. It'll take you straight to the website. And what I do is I work with my team to be able to cultivate just 5 opportunities. I don't waste your time on small stuff. And so sign up for the email list. It's totally free. Every Wednesday, you're going to get that in the afternoon, and you can check it out. If some opportunities for you, great. If you're interested in Gary Vaynerchuk's new NFTs coming out on April 25th called VFriends Series 2, you're going to see a link to that, and you might want to check it out. Just to give you a little bit of a background on that, VFriends 1 sold for 2 Ethereum, and now the floor price is probably 15 to 16. So you made upwards of $50,000 in 9 months. Again, I'm not a pusher, I'm not a crypto bro, but I'm just letting you know that opportunity exists out there for you to make money on some of those deals. So sign up for the email list, link in the below. And then also, let's continue the discussion. Been really fascinated with Elon's moves in the past week and a half or so. And I've been talking to people on my Discord server about that. If you'd like to join us, there's a link to the Discord server in the description section below. Click on that. A couple things that I give you there. One is there's a legal advice channel. You can always ask a question to me on my Discord and I can respond. There's also channels that have different opportunities in the tech world and the Web3 world. Click on those. You can actually see if you're into virtual land, if you're into NFTs, if you're into creating videos. There's certain channels you can find. You can see other creators in there who are doing the same thing, and you could trade tips. So those are the offerings I have for you. I want to help you. Thank you so much for joining us on our Thursday live stream. I will see you next Thursday. I will be in Ventura, but I'd be happy to see you. And thanks, guys, for spending time with me.